Perfect Strangers and Head of the Class won't be seen tonight.
Ah! We've been robbed!
Now stay tuned for an ABC holiday treat.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
What I do today is what I've always wanted to do since I was a child. But what I didn't want to do was things that would be less stimulating, things that seemed more average or like, oh, I don't want to have to draw commercial content. Well, that's a great way to toughen yourself up, to get better as a draftsman so that you've prepared yourself to be usable for the artistic marketplace that exists, and then maybe you can work yourself into a position where you can do the stuff that you specifically have a passion for.
If you're here at Word Balloon, it's because you like comics, creators, conversation, pop culture subjects. Would you consider joining the League of Word Balloon Listeners? Patreon.com/wordballoon. When you subscribe, you'll also be part of the Word Balloon Book Club, where Brian Michael Bendis and I will pick a comic every month to review and discuss live with the League on this show. Join the League today, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you always for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for another Word Balloon Live, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress with you, and always happy to welcome Mark Russell back to Word Balloon. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Wow. I can't tell you how thrilled I was. I'm thrilled that Mad Cave has the Speed Racer license. I remember in the early 90s when Now Comics was doing new Speed Racer stuff. And, man, they got the right guy to do Racer X. Here's that first cover, everybody. And I even got the alternate cover of the first issue. Truly great stuff, Mark. I really enjoyed that first issue, and I love that it's kind of a great origin backstory to get things started. But longtime fan of Racer X.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, I watched Speed Racer on TV when I was a kid because it was this really cheap syndicated Japanese cartoon that was dubbed into English that didn't cost the TV stations any money to show. And my favorite character was always Racer X because he was so mysterious, and you're like, who is that guy, and what's he doing? And yeah, he seemed to be driving a different race than everybody else. And so when they gave me the chance to write Racer X, it's like, well, this is like, you rarely get offered to write a chance to write a character that you just actually love, that you've always sort of really enjoyed reading or watching on TV. So when you do, you got to sort of grab it with both hands.
I hear you, man. You guys have also redesigned the number 9 car. Here's the classic design from the anime. But this great image, and I love this. I should ask, and also there's a good shot of Rex's modern costume and everything. But tell me about your artist.
Yeah, so Nuno Platti is really good. He does sort of a blended style of sort of manga-esque, but not 100% manga, which I think works incredibly well for Speed Racer, especially the way the main series is drawn. And also, he's just incredibly good at drawing really kinetic scenes. Like when the cars are going around the racetrack, it just looks like this blur of action, like we would imagine, like standing on the track watching these cars sort of go by at 200 miles an hour. And it's hard to describe. There's nothing worse than describing what something looks like, which is one of the reasons I think I became a comic book writer, because I can leave all that to an artist to do. But it really gives you the sense of it really gives you a visceral sense of being at a car race. And so what I wanted to do is write part racing comic, part sort of film noir about this guy whose life was stolen from him. And that's what I'm going for. And that's kind of what I want. Why I wanted to go over his origins with the original issue was not only to explain how he became Racer X, but also just to let people know right from the beginning what kind of comic this is going to be.
I get it, and I really enjoy the way you've told the backstory, and you've thrown in other Easter eggs that immediately, if you're a fan of the old series, you'll recognize some of the players, and you even weave in, given that it is the area of car racing and stuff. God, if people are fans of Ford versus Ferrari, not only the fictional movie but the real story and stuff, you could see allusions to some of the auto teams and companies that are in the Speed Racer world. I don't know. Is David writing the regular Speed Racer?
He's
Okay, I'm
writing
gonna have to.
the main,
Yeah,
the main run.
Yeah,
And,
I'm gonna have
and
to
yeah,
catch
I
up.
think a lot of it is like just about how in whether in racing or in like life, the auteurs, the people who actually design cars or do whatever they're doing because they love it, tend to like get drowned out or murdered by the people that could just do a lot of it. The people who have the machinery to put a team on the track or to mass produce what it is you're trying to carve out of love. And that's largely what the backstory about Racer Automotive versus like Alpha Automotive and the car action team. That's what it is. It's about how does the craft, the thing you love doing or the thing you do because you actually believe in it, what it is you're doing, how does that survive against the people who are just trying to use it to control the betting markets.
Absolutely. So, all right, good. I didn't know if you wanted to mention some of the name checks that are in that first issue, but yeah, like you said, Alpha Team, and now, am I wrong? Is it the Car Acrobatic Team or the Car
Acrobatic Team? I don't know where action came from. Yeah, that's right.
Please, good Lord. Sadly, this is what's in my head rather than modern concerns.
Yeah.
And also, if people don't know, and if you have access to MeTV Tunes channel, 5 nights a week, they're showing Speed Racer for an hour from, I got to get the time zones right. So Mark's in the West Coast time zone. So it's, I think, 8:30 to 9:30 Western time, Pacific time. And it's 12:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the morning Eastern. I get it at 11:30 and then another one at midnight. But
I also watched a bunch of the old cartoons on Prime that are available on Prime too. If you want to just watch them.
I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know they're running on Prime. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Oh my God! But yeah, God, I forgot how scary that show was. Are you going to get weird? I mean, because again, I love the blend. I mean, let's face it. As we were introduced to Racer X back in the cartoon and stuff, half racer, half secret agent, some sort of adventurer, and kind of de facto superhero. But I mean, there really were some scary things in Speed Racer.
And in my version, he's sort of a vigilante because he's trying to bring down the Alpha Automotive, which is run by like a criminal syndicate called the Tiger Syndicate, and they control the race betting. So the more he can cause their drivers, the more he can get Speed Racer to win and get their drivers to like crash out, the more it interferes with their plans, the more money they lose from betting on their own drivers, which is why they're so eager to kill him, because he's screwing up the money they were getting from fixing races.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of the story too.
Sure, absolutely. No, it really is one man against the mob, and or at least the controlling interests of this faction of that kind of crime organization. I love it. And do you and Pepos have to talk and like, hey man, I want to use, for example, the X3, the Melange, or the Mammoth car, the Gold car, things like that? Do you guys have to?
We did it a little backwards in that when I got Racer X, I got excited and I wrote like 3 or 4 issues, right off the bat. While David still was like finishing up something else, didn't have time to work on it. So then, it occurred to me, I better slow my roll, because David's going to be writing things in the main series, and I can't be contradicting that. Because we decided very early on we wanted these 2 series to sort of dovetail and to talk about the same races from different perspectives. So
that's
I sort of like slowed down, and then I started getting the scripts in from David. And if he was using, a driver that I was using in a different way, then I would just change mine, because mine is coming out like my issue 1 comes out after his issue 2, and my 2 after his 3, and so on and so forth. So I'm responding to the race that he's writing about, and I'm telling the story. At least in the first 4 issues, I'm telling the story of the same race that's in the main series, just through the perspective of Racer X. But obviously, I had to go back and change things because I don't want to I want the story to not contradict. I don't want them to contradict each other, which in a way makes it better because then you're working with limitations and you're thinking outside the box a little bit. And it's also giving me the chance to create some new characters because I couldn't use the one that David's using. So I come up with a new character, and that's always a lot of fun for me too. When I get to write not only in canon is something I really enjoy, but then to actually add to it to create new characters that now have become part of the canon. And in fact, I created a love interest for Racer X, which doesn't show up until later in the series. But
wow, cool.
Her name is Hell Kitten.
Why not? Absolutely. All right,
Don.
Don.
Model who now tears up the racing scene.
Don, clearly a fan of the cartoon. I got to do this like the narrator voiceover. Little does Speed Racer know that Racer X is his older brother Rex Racer, who left home many years ago. All covered in issue 1 of a Mark series. But yeah, or you need, of course, with the filter, with the inner thoughts filter. Speed doesn't know that I'm his brother. So
Speed has no idea who this guy is.
and of course we have to do an occasional I love that show, man. And I never knew. I forget. It must have been Cartoon Network or something when they were running it, and they ran the Japanese language version of the theme song. And it's Makagogo as opposed to
really?
Ghost Racer Go.
Is that why it's the Mach 5?
Yeah, I assume it is. Yeah. But yeah, Makagogo is the chorus instead of Go Speed Racer. But man, I truly, man, I've been because I have nothing else to do. Look, clearly, ladies and gentlemen, no life. Here he is right now. But honestly, I've been really enjoying because I hadn't watched the cartoons in at least 30 years, if not longer. And man, like I said, they were scarier than I remember. The music is fantastic and really suspenseful and everything. That's the only thing that's missing from the comic book, man. It's a shame you guys can't have a little MP3 or something code that as we're watching the races, we can't get that. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Someday you'll actually just open the comic and it'll have a microscopic MP3 player that just sort of gives you the soundtrack.
When honestly, when they started doing digital comics, and especially after the iPad came out, I was really expecting more digital magazines to have not only prose, but also, hey, click on this and here's a video feature. And of course, Marvel did a bit of that with their AR comics that would have the Q codes, and it would open up a little 1-minute thing of an artist doing a fast, page time lapse kind of thing of a page spread or whatever. So Hall Comics says, evening, John and Mark. I wasn't going to buy Racer X, but then I found out Mark was writing it. So now I have no choice to pick it up. And yes, we're going to be talking about Vanishing Point. Has been so dang good that will come up later in the conversation. So yeah, and Don again says that the Racer X has been in my head since childhood. Yeah, that great episode. I wonder if it's the last episode where he takes off the mask and finally reveals to Speed that he's Rex. It's oh my god. That was heavy drama when you're a kid, man. So will we ever get to that point, or are we going to keep it a mystery?
And I think that point is happening in the main series, but yeah, a lot the fact that he can't reveal himself. And in my version, he can't really reveal himself to his brother or his family because the mob is gunning for him. So he'll put them all in danger if he ever reveals who he really is.
Sure.
So the only way he can really protect his family, other than trying to help Speed on the racetrack, is by staying as far away as possible.
And we never got that confrontation of Pops and Rex after the reveal that happens with Speed. And like I said, man, I'm assuming that was the last episode of the original series. But yeah, so I mean, there is still, track for either you or David to really kind of explore that beyond Rex and Speed, but the whole Racer family. Sure.
Right. No, it's a very rich but fraught relationship that family has.
And what about Mom Racer? Exactly. Or Trixie,
for
that
I think
matter.
She has exactly one line in the first issue.
And Spritle.
Yeah.
God, I mean, again, when
Spritle makes an appearance, Chim Chim shows up, although, yeah, those are mostly characters in the main series, but they do make little cameos in Racer X.
Yeah, so maybe do you think Spritle might have been a baby when Rex left home? because Speed's pretty young
Yeah.
when Rex leaves.
Right.
And again,
Spital-
great stuff with Rex and Speed in issue 1.
Thanks. Yeah, no, Spital didn't even show, and I think part of the reason why, because I just didn't know where to put in like this. He would have been a baby or a toddler. I just didn't know where to really use him.
Sure. No, I understand. Absolutely. Comics Art San Antonio, and I'm glad you're joining us, sir. I believe this might be the first time you've joined us, so welcome. Hi, John and Mark. Ahoy has been doing so much cool stuff indeed, and Mark, of course, a big part of it. Any plans to return to the world of Serial? Explain the question, Mark.
Well, Serial is a series I wrote starring the serial monsters of breakfast lore, like Count Chocula, Frankenberry, Captain Crunch. Although for legal reasons, I wasn't able to actually call them those things. So like Count Chocula in my world is the Marquis de Coco. Captain Crunch becomes Captain Crackle, but basically I wrote them as though they were in some sort of Game of Thrones like universe of betrayal and intrigue. And I'm very pleased with how the book turned out. I don't know if there's enough material there, enough unused serial mascots to do a whole other book, but I would love to write like a Return to Serial Mountain or whatever, a sort of a one-off that sort of goes back to that world.
That would be amazing, man. Hall, yeah, Comics agreeing that Serial was so good. Mark, do you know, of course, the comedian Gilbert Gottfried. Are you aware of his podcast?
No. I mean, I'm
okay.
aware of him, but not the podcast.
Well, and obviously he's passed away. His co-host, Frank Santopadre, who actually has been on Word Balloon before, literally 2 weeks ago on the podcast, had a fantastic episode of all the breakfast cereals and all the mascots. And, so it was all fair game. And again, growing up as I did in the late 60s and 70s and stuff. Yeah, I mean, by the time of Count Chocula and Frankenberry and stuff, I was a Wheaties guy, and I'm like, maybe a little too much sugar in my breakfast cereal. But I was a Kaboom and a lot of the early, and certainly Captain Crunch and everything. So, Fruit Brute, the fourth, exactly, the neglected. And then there was like a mummy flavor.
That was the one. My one regret is that, like, when it all finished up, I was like, how come I never used Yummy Mummy?
Yummy Mummy.
It was right there. No Yummy Mummy.
Everyone's bringing up your greatest hits, Mark. And by all means, everybody, if there are other Ahoy comics you want to mention.
Yeah, and thanks for the shout out to Ahoy, too, because they are doing the Lord's work. They're doing all kinds of comics that most publishers would hang up on you midway through the phone conversation if you pitched them to them. I'm doing a comic I'm really proud of with Ahoy called Thanksgiving, which comes out in October. And it's sort of uses the Thanksgiving dinner as a metaphor for the way I think a lot of us feel about our country, which is like, I'm not sure I actually know these people sitting across the table from me. These people I grew up with that I thought I loved. Is one of them a serial killer?
Oh, wow.
Like, how did we get to this point?
That's great, Mark, truly. And this is what I love. And in fact, Zach even mentions another book like that. Billionaire Island is a great example of this. Second Coming is another great example of this. Truly, so much of your Ahoy stuff. And man, match made in heaven, you and Ahoy.
Pillar of creativity, I think, not only in my career but also the industry. The comics industry is definitely is well served by having Ahoy around, publishing titles that are really their own genre.
Completely agree, 100%, man. And it's been, God, you got to go back to like Mad in its prime for that kind of satire and humor in comic book form. So yeah, I know I'm thrilled that the guys Art Celian and Tom Pyre and company, and again, you're one of the main writers of all that stuff. Comic Arts reminds us of another serial, perhaps that we forgot. I guess a new one, Carmela Creeper. I haven't seen that on the shelves.
Oh, Creeper, yeah, it's a new one to me. I don't know.
I've never heard of it. I wonder if it tastes like Cracker Jack being like caramel. I don't know. And another subject, and truly, everybody, everything's fair bounce. Not only all his stuff, but if you want to talk about, was it called Past? What was the Marvel stuff you did? The Past Lives? No.
Yeah. It was.
Spider-Man
Life Story.
Life Story. Spider-Man Life Story. Fantastic Four Life Story.
Fantastic Four Life Story. Well, yeah, that's a great concept too, where you let the heroes that you're writing about age decade by decade, and each issue represents a different decade. I loved doing that, and I thought what Chip did with Spider-Man was fantastic. I really hope they
Oh,
do more
excuse
of
me.
that.
Yes, that's right. You did FF. Chip did Spider-Man. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree. Well, and that dovetails into another book of yours that's coming, and Ken Kramer wanted to know if we can get an update on the Wonder Woman Age book you're doing with Mike Allred, and Wonder Woman: The Golden Age, correct?
That's correct. It's going to be called Golden Age, and we're working on it right now. Mike is still drawing issue number 1. I'm finishing up on writing issue number 3. So we're thinking sometime probably spring 2026. It'll come out. But yeah, it's happening.
Without giving away much of plot, because you had and in some ways, your Age comics of Superman and Batman, Superman Space Age, Batman Dark Age, and now Wonder Woman. Is it set in the past? Again, I don't want you to tell more than you feel comfortable telling.
Yeah,
I got to ask, obviously.
The basic concept for those who aren't familiar with the other books is that Superman Space Age tells the life story of Superman on one of the universes that is doomed on Crisis on Infinite Earths. So he knows pretty early on that his world is going to be destroyed. His whole entire universe is going to be destroyed in 1985, and there's not much he can do about it. So it kind of deals with the concept of like what does it mean to be a world symbol of hope when there really is none? And Batman Dark Age kind of takes place in a similarly doomed universe, albeit a different one than the first one. And Wonder Woman Golden Age will take place in the original universe that the Superman one took in, but it's from Wonder Woman's perspective, and it's about it's about like them trying to like make a final stand against the Anti-Monitor, and to keep the world from having to be doomed after all. So I won't give away much more than that, but it very much is in. It tells the way I'm conceiving it is it's finishing the trilogy that was begun with the first 2. So it finishes the story of the struggle of Superman and Batman against the end of the earth.
Zach wanted to know if you had additional Age books planned for DC, or was it always just about the Trinity?
Originally, it was just about the Superman one. That was the only one we had planned. But then, we got offered to write the Batman one, and I had already created so many Batman scenes in writing the Superman one that I wasn't able to use, that it just seemed like natural. And then, that gave me the idea for like, well, we should, we don't necessarily need to leave things hanging like this. We could actually finish the story with the Wonder Woman one. But yeah, if they offered me, I would keep writing them forever. I'd, do a Flash. I'd do a Green Hornet, or not Green Hornet, Green Lantern, or like a Lobo. I do a Lobo Carnage. I think that would be good. No, I would just keep doing them. As long as they let me work with Mike and Laura, I would just do them forever.
I can appreciate that. Well, certainly Mike makes and Laura's makes everyone's comics that's that much prettier. And it really is perfect because the stories do evoke an earlier age than what we're currently getting. And, Mike's all about that with his art, and Laura does a wonderful job.
Yeah, one of the really fun things about writing that series is that, when they were writing Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman comics in the 60s and 70s, they weren't necessarily writing about the events in the 60s and 70s. They weren't really talking about the Vietnam War, Watergate, or, the Equal Rights Amendment and stuff. They weren't really writing against the backdrop of the history they were experiencing, because they didn't really think of it as history yet. But when I'm writing something set back in the 1960s and 70s, I could suddenly talk about these historic events in I can have the characters actually, interact with history, because, I not only do I have the liberty to write for adults and for people who are interested in history, but also now 60 years later, we know what matters. We know which parts of the things that happened in the 60s and 70s are important.
Agreed. Given the success, and I wonder if Josh Williamson or Scott Snyder gave you a call. In a lot of ways, the Absolute Universe has a different reason for being different. But again, when I point to Life Story's Fantastic Four and these series as well, you've got these great alternate takes that stay consistent with the character, but again, surrounds them in different circumstances. Would you ever want to do an Absolute Universe DC book?
Yeah, and my editor asked me that, like, if I would be interested in doing an absolute book. Not that they're going to give me one, but just if I would be interested. And the idea I had, which I would love to do, would be Harley Quinn absolute. And I would want to do it so that she goes back to her psychotherapist practice, but she's like a psychotherapist for villains. Like she is like, it's like sort of like, like when you get shot and you're in the mob, you have to go to a special doctor and they remove the bullet from you because they're not in a hospital. She'd be like that for a therapist. And it'd be about her trying to like get the villains to like raise their game or making them more effective, making them her form of therapy would be making them actually worse, less remorseful villains.
That's fantastic, man. Jesus. All right, you got to call Jimmy and you got to call Amanda and let her and have her draw that. God, that's a great idea. That's and again, that's consistent with that absolute universe where the villains have won and they're kind of in charge. Oh, that'd be great. God, come on, DC, let's go. Memo to Clark Bull and Company. Make that happen, man. Jesus, that's a wonderful idea. God, they're calling up your greatest hits, Mark. Ahoy Comics.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Have to read Billionaire's Island, Traveling to Mars. My Bad was excellent. And anything else I haven't read, just an excellent writer. Very nice.
My Bad for a while was a repository of all my rejected Batman pitches. Like if I wrote like a Batman pitch and they're like the response I got was never in a million years, I would take that idea and have it run with the Chandelier, who's sort of my Batman stand-in in My Bad. He's called the Chandelier because his parents, he was the heir to a lamp fortune. His parents owned a giant lamp company. So when they were killed, he became a vigilante known as the Chandelier.
And its mask is basically wearing
a really beautiful chandelier.
Very lovely.
Not great for combat, but incredibly aesthetic.
Yeah, ours was not opulent, but we had a chandelier in my my house that I grew up, the dining room, and truly the hanging crystals certainly reminds me of my parents' 60s attempt at opulence. So yeah,
that's how you've got class. You've got a chandelier.
There you go. Oh yeah, he's sold. He goes, you have to say any more? Chandelier? I'm in. Outstanding, man. Absolutely. So yeah, again, this has been the great thing about getting to know Mark. Well, and also your Hanna-Barbera stuff, man. And as I've told Mark many times, when I first saw it, was it Steve Pugh that drew it for you?
He drew the Flintstones, yeah.
Yeah. At first I was like, I don't know, man, too off model. And Bendis or somebody's like, read it. And I did, and I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. And again, just a great great hybrid of typical kind of Flintstones humor, but taken to that extreme. My favorite example, of course, that the water buffaloes are the VFW, and then a lot of them still have trauma from the cave and tree wars that they all suffered through.
Yeah, and a lot of it, when I was adapting the Flintstones was just like, something like the water buffaloes, Lions Club, or like a gentleman's, that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, who here is going to remember, what like the Kiwanis Club was or something? So it's like
the Elks, yeah.
But everybody, knew veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. So, what if I just make it so the water buffaloes were actually like an army regiment, and then they are coming back and like having to deal with the PTSD of having been in this horrifying conflict, which is not what they were sold at all. And then that's of course where Fred gets his yabba dabba doo catchphrase. It's like what the analyst, the sort of group therapist tells him to say every time he feels like he's being overwhelmed by anxiety.
Wow. God, it's I want to do the math. I believe it's the 65th anniversary of the Flintstones this year.
I think you're right. I think that, the beginning of it. Yeah.
Yeah, 1960. Yeah, I believe that's, and it's so great, man. ABC, back then the joke was there's only room for 3.5 networks. CBS, NBC. Well, actually 2.5 networks, CBS, NBC, and they only gave ABC half credit. But man, cartoons in prime time, that, and they were running old Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes cartoons, and they were a massive hit. And it's like, well, and look where we are today with adult animation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And I love that. And of course, Snagglepuss, your take on Snagglepuss, basically as kind of a, I got to think, Streetcar Named Desire author. Tennessee Williams. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tennessee Williams,
Yeah,
absolutely.
one of the personal highlights of my career, maybe the highlight, is they did a stage reading of Snagglepuss at the Tennessee Williams Play Festival in Massachusetts, and Marie Javins and I both were able to go and sort of watch it performed on stage, and it was amazing to see, the graphic novel being acted out on stage at the Tennessee Williams Play Festival, be taking that seriously. People loved it too. So, I mean, if I had died at that moment and the credits are rolling, I would have considered that a happy ending.
Hall, yeah, Comics once again has another great callback. Wonder Twins, absolutely, man, from Wonder Comics, should have been more appreciated. Yeah, I'm sorry. Was it sales that kind of made that end?
Wonder Twins did pretty good because originally it was only supposed to be 6 issues, but then it got approved for 12. But yeah, it was always supposed to be a limited series, but I think it did better than expected because it's the one and only time I've actually had a series, get more issues. I've had to go the other way a couple times, but yeah, no, I'm still very proud of those, and I don't think of them as a failure by any means. It looks like Justin R is asking, what is it?
Who was asking?
When your Trinity conclusion with Wonder Woman is coming out? Oh, I don't know for sure, Justin, but I think it's spring of 2026.
There you go. Okay, excellent. I was wondering if, because you've also written, like we said, Ahoy, but you've also had AWA. That was your robot series. What was that called again?
Not All Robots.
Say it again.
Not All Robots.
Not All Robots, indeed. Okay. And, they know what they're getting in you. I know Ahoy obviously has a great track
anybody,
with you.
That's kind of the way I feel. It's like anybody who hires me knows what they're getting into, or at least they should at this point. So, let the buyer beware.
Well, more importantly, that let people discover the graphic novel if they can't discover the issues, hopefully.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel too about sales, because it's hard to sell individual issues these days, especially if it's not like a really collectible title and it's not the first appearance of Punchline or whatever. It's hard to sell individual floppies, but I don't worry too much about it because I figure as long as there's a book, and even if the book doesn't sell incredibly well at the beginning, it's like as long as it sticks around, as long as it stays in print, I'll hand sell them at cons. They'll, like other things that become, the other people who discover me through other things will then go back and buy that title. So I always try to think in terms of the long game, and the long game is like don't write a comic to sell 100,000, in the month and to be, forgotten forever. Don't even write a book. For a book that will, be out of print in 6 months. Write something that you think is going to stick around in book form for years and years, and will just sell. It might not sell gangbusters when it first come out, although hopefully it does. But even if it doesn't, you could continue to sell it forever, and people who discover you through other titles will then have something to go back and read of yours.
When I see shows like Peacemaker and what James Gunn is doing from a humor standpoint with DC, I think of things like One Star Squadron. We've talked about that before, a wonderful book. Do you know if Gunn is aware of your DC humor?
I know he's definitely aware of it. I don't know if he's going to use any of it, but for a while he had one of Mike's drawings as of Superman for Superman Space Age as like his background on I think it was Blue Sky, one of the social media platforms. So I know he's definitely read it, and he's shared like sort of panels from I think Superman Space Age. But anyone's guess as to whether he has any plans to incorporate it.
Well, again, I really think your kind of humor does dovetail into what James is trying to do.
If he did use something of mine, I think it probably would be Wonder Twins. I think it probably would be something like that that's more overtly funny and just sort of, uses minor characters, or One Star Squadron, something of that nature, where it's like these are off the beaten path characters and stories.
James wants to know, and I don't remember this character, but Red Flag from Wonder Twins.
Red Flag. I love Red Flag.
Tell me about Red Flag.
He is a guy who goes on a date with Jaina. She goes on a date with this guy, not knowing that he's secretly a villain. And he's also in high school. He goes to high school with them. And he reveals to her later that he's actually a villain named Red Flag. And the reason why he's called Red Flag is because his hits every red flag imaginable on their date. Like he is rude to the wait staff. He's like just sort of jerky and abrasive, and and tries to like belittle her, and she ends up like turning into a cheetah so she can run away from him. But yeah, he was a character, and he shows up I think again later with the League of Annoyance, which is like sort of the minor league villain organization I created. But yeah, I would like to see him show up. He's someone who might show up in like a James Gunn, like the kind of guy who would show up in a James Gunn movie and then like get killed within the first 38 seconds.
Yeah, like Suicide Squad, exactly. Like 20
He'd
of
come
these.
up, yeah, exactly. Like you'd be like the Pete Davidson character in Suicide Squad, where he'd show up, like drop a few red flags and then get like annihilated.
Zach wants to know, he's not sure if it's different publisher to publisher, but do trade sales contribute to the life of a book, or is it still completely dependent on store orders of single issues?
Oh yeah, trade sales definitely contribute to the life of a book. And the best thing you could possibly have for a book would be initial orders of the book. People like putting in orders of the book before it's even on sale. But I think that the trade orders, if I could pick one thing to get as a writer, it would be not to have a hit comic series, but it would be to get like a hit trade where it gets a ton of initial orders before the book hits the shelves, because that will let the retailers know this is not a risky investment. They can have a bunch to have on the shelves and give more people a chance to discover it. And to me, that's when you got something, because you are not only selling to people who know about you and ask for it to be put in their pull box, but then just people wandering through the store who want to read an entire book.
Do you, and forgive me, because sometimes I blank out as I look at the chat. Do you have new stuff coming from Ahoy?
Yes, mostly one shots. I've got, like I mentioned, the Thanksgiving.
Yes,
issue.
of course. Excuse me. Yes,
and I've got another one called The Forgotten Divine that's currently in the works. That's about a cult where all the members of the cult have like visions of this bizarre alien race, but they all have these visions independently, so they form like sort of a cult, which they call the Forgotten Divine, to await the arrival of these alien gods. And then I'm working on another one called Gravediggers, which is about a company that hires people to dig their own graves, it's like their severance package. Like if you get fired from this company, they'll give you 30 days severance package, but then you have to use that 30 days to dig your own grave, at the end of which you'll drink poison and be buried in it. So that one's coming out. That one hasn't even started being drawn. Gravediggers has not even started being drawn. So who knows when that's coming out? But the Forgotten Divine will be out probably early 2026.
Excellent.
And Thanksgiving will be out in October.
Absolutely, man. No, we should plan to talk about Thanksgiving when it's ready to be talked about. So that would be great. Also, and again, you don't have to name companies, but have people, publishers, I should say, had the Mark Russell experience and go, yeah, all right, thanks. Don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah, no, I think that's the way publishers usually. No, but I work with a lot of publishers. Most of the publishers I work with, I tend to go back to, just because, like you said, they knew what they were getting into the first time. So the people who are like, oh, not this guy, they don't even bother calling me usually.
I can't believe you have that kind of rep.
I don't know if Marvel
I love it.
Camp anymore. I mean, Marvel might be
oh, that's a shame.
About whether or not they call me back ever again. But other than that, I've had really good experiences with doing multiple titles, working regularly with companies.
Well, let's hope so, man. Mark Waid joining the conversation. Hey, Mark.
Oh, it's Mark.
What's it like to co-write with Mark Waid? Is it intimidating?
Oh, I wasn't even going to announce this because I didn't feel empowered, but now I do. So I'm actually co-writing an issue of World's Finest with Mark Waid, number 44. And it was, usually I dread co-writing. Usually it's like, oh God, this is going to be like a arm wrestling belt. But that was so much fun. That was like probably the most fun I've had writing something, co-writing or not, just because Mark's ideas are so good, and we were just sort of bouncing off each other. it's criminal that we that we actually got paid for that. I think. Don't tell DC I said that. But.
No, they don't watch my stuff. Don't worry about it. No, that's great. And truly, knowing Mark, knowing his sense of humor, and also his deep knowledge of Silver and Bronze Age and stuff, you guys are a match made in heaven. That's fantastic. You guys are working together.
No, I'm super excited for it to come out. It turned out really funny, and just like working with somebody who actually understands like the DC continuity, and it's like, oh, so this is what I've been doing wrong all this time. But yeah,
no,
if you ever, for the people out there, if you ever get a chance to collaborate with Mark Waid, I would say go ahead, give him a shot. Give that poor kid a shot.
Exactly. Couldn't hurt. And he says thanks. It was a blast. Absolutely, man. That's beautiful.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark, for always watching. Absolutely. And no, it means a lot when the other creators are actually paying attention to what the hell I'm doing. They come for the dessert. They don't come for me, man. They come for guys like you. Don't get me wrong. But that's terrific. And again, I think that I'm excited to see what you guys have cooking. Are you able to say, is it Dan Mora drawing it, or is it somebody else? Or
I'll let Mark. I don't know how much I'm empowered to actually say about it. So
I respect that. No, that's cool.
I'm just a guest. I'm just a tourist in the world's finest.
Well, should we talk about the other thing that you wanted to talk about? And you'll have to explain what this is, and that's Vanishing Point.
Yeah, Vanishing Point is a sci-fi anthology series, basically the elevator speeches that if they gave me the chance to write the Twilight Zone, this is probably what it would be like. They're very twist-heavy science fiction stories, but also I think with a more sort of existentialist angle. They're about like feelings of isolation and about how we are being dehumanized by the society we are creating, and we are alienating ourselves with our technology, which sounds like a total fun time. I know it sounds like I'm sure I'm selling a lot of comics here, but I'm really proud of it. And we got different artists for originally Ryan Alexander Tanner, who's one of my Portland friends, was going to draw the whole thing, but then he had a baby, so he was only able to like get enough time together to draw 3 of the issues. So we had other artists draw the other 3, and you just saw the cover for issue number 1, which is drawn by Christian Ward. But yeah, so a lot of different styles, both in terms of the stories and also the artwork. And the good thing I think about doing an anthology is that if you miss an issue, don't worry about it. You can read them all independently. You can read them in any order.
Who's putting this out?
That's Mad Cave.
Oh, that's another Mad Cave book. Fantastic. That's great, man. Honestly, Mad Cave, I've been paying close attention. The Flash Gordon franchise, now Speed Racer, and Vanishing Point. Again, if Mark's writing it, I'm certainly interested. Here's an interior page from Vanishing Point.
Yes, the stories I think are like both work as science fiction and horror. Most of them, I think they're horrifying and but also very human.
Are they? How long are the individual stories?
22 pages each.
Oh, so each issue is one chapter or one standalone?
And they're all self-contained, so they don't carry over from one issue to the next.
Okay, very cool. Mark spilled the beans. Lucas Meyer, everybody, drawing the upcoming World's Finest that will have Russell and Wade together on a story. Very, very cool. You know, God, I just saw the solicit for the latest Action Comics, and I didn't realize that Captain Comet is encountering young Superboy in Action Comics. So I'm gonna have to get Wade back to talk about that as well as other stuff too. You know, God, Allred didn't Allred do one of the History of DC Universe issues?
He did. That's one of the reasons why Wonder Woman's taken so long, because he took a hiatus to work on that. But yeah, I think it'll be worth it.
No, we can appreciate that, definitely, man. Are you watching Peacekeeper and did you watch Superman? Tell me what.
I love Superman. I liked it a lot. My only criticism, and it's not really a criticism, just sort of an observation, is that it feels like they're setting up a franchise more than trying to like give you one complete cohesive movie, which is good. I want to know more about these characters, and I really hope my big hope is that it ends up in a Mr. Terrific standalone movie. That was my takeaway from. I know we're going to get the Supergirl one, and it's going to be based on Tom King's book, which is amazing. Couldn't ask for more for that. But if I can ask for a second thing, it would be the Mr. Terrific standalone movie.
Yeah, or a TV series. Either one of those would be
Yeah.
great, because I think you could do a lot with Mr. Terrific. And yeah, I agree with you. He was the best surprise, I think, as far as interpretations of characters and stuff. And God, it was great, because my concern with as much as they're thrown against the wall, like, all right, were we going to have to wait 5 years for the next Superman movie? No, 2 years. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is really sort of brilliant about Superman is all the casting was impeccable. I couldn't think of a better, person to play like Lex Luthor than Nicholas Hoult, or like Lois Lane, or Supergirl. It was just impeccable. Mr. Terrific. All the casting was just utterly impeccable.
I agree, and I also wonder, because
Guy Gardner,
Nathan.
Guy Gardner, just inspired casting.
100%. And it was weird that we got so little of the Daily Planet because of the star power in the Daily Planet, especially Wendell Davis as Perry, and even Beck Bennett as Steve Lombard and stuff. And of course, Rachel playing Lois. And forgive me, everybody, I forget the name of the actress that played Cat Grant. But all that was great. But there was so little Daily Planet. And I'm like, oh, I bet they shot more. And maybe we'll get in the second movie. Maybe it'll be on.
I would take a Daily Planet standalone movie. I think that would be great.
Rucka and I were talking last night, and we were talking about him and Brubaker and Lark and what they did on Gotham Central. And also, like, Rucka's like, oh, God, I would kill to do a coroner's office in Gotham Police. And, and also even like a Gotham hospital. And it's like, yeah, these are great ideas. And it's clear, again, that Gunn is maybe coming up with these ideas and then delegating them. Even on Peacemaker, I see that he's writing all the scripts, but he certainly isn't directing them all, and that's good. He's got to run the studio as well. But no, I really appreciate the new flavor of the DC film universe and television.
I once pitched a creeper comic that was supposed to be about like sort of the death of journalism, where it was about like his human persona being like this sort of demagogue, this sort of like Tucker Carlson type who says all these things, and he's like trying to like undermine the Daily Planet and like like do everything that they're not doing. And then at night, his alter ego feels so guilty about it, he tries to destroy everything that he does during the day.
That's a great idea, man. All right, Wade, you gotta forward this to the editorial side, man. That would be a brilliant idea. Again, that's the thing. These characters are really sadly fit in today's crazy world. And I mean, I love the way Luthor, and not only Luthor, but all of his minions working for him and stuff. That's another tech bro company, man. They don't care. They're just, it's Doge. It's Elon
I don't
Musk
have time
and Doge.
to worry about the end of the world. My quarterly bonus is coming up.
Absolutely. And I loved Miss Tessmacher taking her selfies while all the mayhem.
That was a great turn. That was a great sort of plot point in the story.
And Jimmy getting lucky with Miss Tessmacher. It's like, all right. I forget Web Toes or whatever the hell he called her, or whatever his creepy name for her on his cell phone when she calls and stuff. That was, again, very funny, great action. And yeah, I really loved it. Did you see, as a Fantastic Four writer, what'd you think of FF?
Yeah, it was good. I was there with Mark Waid because we both at the Fantastic Four premiere, because we both had a special thanks credit in the movie. Although watching the movie, kind of be damned if I could tell you what they actually took from my comic. But I was really happy to be thanked and to be there. It was a great experience, and it was a good movie too.
Did you meet any of the cast or the directors or anybody?
No, I admired them from afar. It was in the like back area.
You're in the peanut gallery, exactly.
You're in the same room, yes.
Yeah, been there, done that. Absolutely, man. That's all right. Thank you, James. James remembers, of course, that Miss Tessmacher's nickname was Mutant Toes. Fantastic. Well, that's all right. She was still pretty. I wouldn't stop dating her for her toes. I got to be honest with you. So, no, that was a fantastic turn. Yeah, I liked it too. Did you like Thunderbolts?
Yeah, I did like Thunderbolts. I like the fact that they sort of got away from the interminable final conflict scene, which I always think this is what kills a superhero movie for me, when it's got like a 30-minute climax scene with all kinds of flying CGI shrapnel. That's when I start looking at my watch.
Me too, man. And in fact, my friends that are in the writer's room of film and television, that's exactly what I'm like. Hey, listen, just my opinion. You got to come up with a more creative Act 3 and then again climactic fight scene other than giant CGI thing.
Yeah.
And again, because I get it to a degree, but I also think it's like you got to be more clever than that, and that's why we thankfully, almost 20 years since Iron Man, but certainly 25 and 26 years since first Sam Raimi Spider-Man and the X-Men movie and stuff. When you consider this modern age of superhero movies and TV, I just think and that's why I appreciated in the Superman movie that they didn't do the origin again. And it's like, we know that, especially a character like Superman, but it's like, it's time to evolve. It's time to get beyond.
Right. If a genre is going to maintain interest, especially when it's been as popular for as long as superheroes, it's got to stay a little bit ahead of its audience. It's got to figure out what the audience has already seen 1,000 times, what they're starting to check out on, and change. It's got to evolve. If it doesn't, then it's just going to disappear. It's going to slowly disintegrate.
I hear you, man. What aren't we covering? Is there anything? Prose writing? Are you going to get back to any short story or novel writing?
I did a book about the Brothers Grimm fairy tales called Grim and Grimmer, which I rewrote 14, some famous, some really obscure Brothers Grimm fairy tales. I don't have any plans for another prose book yet, but I had a good time writing that, and I do have about 270 pages of a novel I started writing a long time ago that I put in the drawer. I would like to, maybe someday when I am unemployed or retired or whatever, I'll dust that off and rewrite again. But no plans to write a prose book for now.
How do you see, because I was talking about this with Greg Rucka last night too, how do you see the book market from an author standpoint compared to the comics market from a writer standpoint?
They're both pretty grim, but yeah, they're both sort of, I think, suffer from the same disease, which is that nobody really knows how to sell these things anymore. And so the publishers act like an insect laying 1,000 eggs, as opposed to a mammal, giving birth to a few kids and then taking care of them. And so you have to hope for great luck as one of the eggs. You have to hope not to get eaten by a stork or whatever, because that's the fate of most books.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And again, I that's why so many people are self-publishing and crowdfunding and things like that.
It makes a ton of sense why people are doing Kickstarter or self-publishing or the Kindle route, because the publishers don't really seem to. I'm not blaming them. It's like a confusing time in the market.
Yeah,
it's like it feels like nobody really knows how to sell a book that's not going to sell itself.
No, and there's very few like Brubaker and Sean Phillips doing Criminal that they established at DC and everything. And well, actually, I guess Wildstorm with their Sleeper and everything. But they built the brand then at Image, and then during COVID when everybody was nervous and stuff, they were cranking out their original graphic novels, and again made enough of a brand of themselves. Would you say you're a better known commodity now and do you have a community as a comic writer rather than an author?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm definitely better known as a comic writer than as an author, and I'm really grateful for everybody who asked for me to be added to their pull lists when my new titles come out. Because a lot of the titles I write sound like really bad ideas. They sound like, no one's going to want to buy. Oh, you want to write a comic about a silent film comedian? Oh yeah, that'll tear up the sales charts, dude. Good for you. So a lot of the ideas I do just sound like publishers to just be garbage sales wise, because they probably are. But the fact that there's a lot of people who will just sort of put it in their pull box and trust me on faith means that it will probably get published anyway, that somebody will take a chance on it regardless.
Mark, I will very quickly pop out and pop back in because I've been having weird problems with StreamYard, and halfway through your answer, I lost my audio. So everybody hold tight, and I'll be right back. we'll let James ask this question, and as Mark answers it, I will come back. James wants to know: have we seen James Gunn's Super, Rainn Wilson superhero movie? Yes, with Elliot Page. I will be right back, but feel free to answer the question, Mark.
I have not. I've heard people talk about it, but I haven't seen it yet. So I guess I should probably make up a longer answer until he gets back. But James Gunn did direct this movie that I really liked. That was before any of it. I think it might have been one of his first movies that he ever directed. It was about this office building that gets. Are you back? But I was just telling him about how this James Gunn movie that I did like, because I didn't see the Rainn Wilson one. But it's about this office building where they decide to, it's like they're doing some project there, and they decide that they gotta kill everybody in the office building because the top secret, the nature of the top secret project they're working on, the project's been canceled, but so they can't let anyone out of the building alive. So then the people inside the office building then have to arm themselves and fight against the other people in the office building. It was really good. I forget what it was called though.
I'm not sure. I did see Super, and it's fun. And I'm a Rainn Wilson fan. In fact, Rainn and I went to high school together. We were in a couple plays together back in the day, and I appreciated Elliot Page's work prior to them transitioning. But no, Super's a lot of fun. I liked it, and I will rewind and get Mark's story about the movie he was describing that I don't remember, but I'm at least coming in mid-conversation. That's great, man. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we haven't covered that you want to promote or discuss.
I think we've gone over just everything that I have announced and a couple things that haven't been. So thank you.
Well, we're all anticipating beyond issue 1 of Racer X. We'll look forward to issue 2. Here's the cover for issue 2, everybody. So that's cool. And again, Racer X now on the stands from Mad Cave, a great adjacent title to Speed Racer. So that's cool. James has another question. Let's ask that question. He wants to know: is there a story behind the trademark Mark Russell Crazy Eyes? I feel I can always pick out one of your books based on the art.
I didn't know that I had a trademark Crazy Eyes, but I think maybe they want to give some clue to the psychology of the character, and the characters I write tend to be a little gonzo. Maybe that's it.
James thinks he knows the movie you were describing, which is the Belko Experiment.
That sounds right. I'm going to go with that.
And while we're talking, and again, I think of a lot of your sci-fi books and your robot book as well. I was talking about this movie with Rucka last night from 1970, Colossus, the Forbin Project. Are you aware of that one?
Huh.
It's about AI. And again, it was made in 1970. So this is, of course, the era when computers took up, walls of space and, had the reel-to-reel machines on them and stuff, all that stuff. But essentially that an AI is created to take care of some of the world's problems, and it takes over the world. And it doesn't have a happy ending. Let's just leave it at that.
I can imagine.
But it's a great movie. It's neat. And, I guess I'm not a fan of piracy, but I did find it on the Internet Archive, I have to admit. So if you want to take a chance on it, it is sitting up there, everybody.
All right.
Colossus, the Forbin Project. So
put that on my list.
55-year-old movie, everybody. There you go. So, Mark, honestly, as always, happy to talk to you and really happy to promote the products. Again, Racer X, and we've got Vanishing Point. It's already started, right?
Yeah, we're already on issue number 4. Issue 4 just came out.
Oh, beautiful, man. All right, so they're from Mad Cave, Vanishing Point.
Yeah, but like I mentioned, you can read them in any order.
Sci-fi anthology. Yeah, one story, one issue, and 4 issues to choose from. So that's great. And eventually, from Mark and the All Reds, we'll get the third book in the Age series of Trinity books, and that's Wonder Woman Golden Age. So very exciting, dude. And as always, I'm thrilled by your projects. I love your sense of humor, and I love when you do serious stories as well. So keep up the great work.
Great. Thank you so much, John.
It's always a pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.
Thanks, everybody.
When I come back tomorrow night around this time, Sterling Gates will join us because Sterling wrote the Supergirl New Krypton stuff back in the aughts, pre-2010. and that's when Kandor was expanded and given its own planet. And we found out that Supergirl's mom was in agreement with General Zod, and maybe the stories that Supergirl and Kal-El got were kind of not the real truth. At least that's what Allura thought. Kind of put a little division in the Supergirl family. But Sterling was the writer. Jamal Igle was the artist. We'll be discussing that and a new science fiction movie that Sterling wrote. So all that and more coming tomorrow on Word Balloon Live. I hope you'll join me then. Until next time, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.